Good morning, Year 6. Today we're going to start learning our new maths topic. We've finished algebra now. We're going to move on to statistics. We're going to start by looking at pie charts, but before we learn about pie charts, we need to learn a little bit about circles. This will be a one-off lesson, all about the different parts of a circle, and there's going to be some reasoning work at the end that you're going to really need to think about carefully. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to get started on today's learning. As always, please make sure you've got a pencil, a piece of paper and a coloured pen or highlighter in order to mark your work. We're going to start off with the morning arithmetic questions. They've been typed out this morning so you can see them a bit more clearly. Please pause the video now and have a go at these questions. Okay, let's go through them then. The first question was 345 multiplied by 45. You should have used your long multiplication method in order to find the answer to this one. I won't have space to fit it here, but the answer was 15,525. Your next question was 1,548 divided by 4. You should have used the short division method here. 4s into 5 doesn't fit, regroup once. How many times does 4 fit into 15? It fits 3 times to make 12 and regroup 3 times. How many times does 4 fit into 34? It fits 8 times with a leftover of 2. And finally, 4s into 28 is equal to 7. Our answer there was 387. In order to find 40% of 240, I would have started with 10%, which is equal to 24. Because I'm not looking for 10%, and in fact I'm looking for 40%, I then need to times that or multiply that by 4. 4 groups of 4 is equal to 16, 4 times 2 is 8, add 1 is 9, 96 there. 1 quarter, add 1/8. Before I can add the quarter, I need to convert it to have the same denominator. I'm going to squeeze that over there. I would make that 8ths by multiplying by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Therefore, I'm doing 1/8 add 2/8, which makes 3/8. This question was a BIDMAS question. You needed to start by writing out BIDMAS. I know it's a BIDMAS question because I can see 2 different operations. I start by checking for brackets. There are none. Indices, division, multiplication. I have got multiplication, so I start by solving that immediately. 3 times 4 is equal to 12. I move on now to my addition. 5 add 12 is equal to 17. And then finally, the last question was 7.123 multiplied by 10. When you're solving these questions without gridded paper, you need to make sure you're being really careful with your place value. I'm multiplying, so I'm moving to the left and only one place. 71.23 was your answer there. Please, can you have a go at these morning reasoning questions very, very quickly? Pause the video now and have a go at the questions before we go through the answers. Okay, so our first question was comparing and deciding which fraction was greater than or less than, which decimal was greater than or less than. 6.8 is greater than 6.7, 2.5 is greater than 2.4. Here, make sure you're remembering that it's 8.90. 9/10 are greater than 2/10. Even though that looks like 21, if you put the extra 0 on the end of the 9, you will see that looks like 90. It's not about what the digits look like, it's about their worth. 9/10 is greater than 2/10. And so when I'm looking at the next question, I can see 2/10 is the same as 2/10. I need to look in the hundredths. 3/100 is greater than 0/100. Okay, rounding this number to the nearest 10, underline the 10 and circle the ones. That is going to round down to 556,780. To the nearest 10,000, underline your 10,000s and have a look at the thousands. It's a 6, so I'm going to round that up. That will be rounded to 560,000. And finally, rounding to the nearest 100,000, I'm going to see that the 5 means I round up to 600,000. Converting these improper fractions into top-heavy fractions, 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Add 3 is 11. That would be 11 quarters. 5 times 5 is 25. Add 1 is 26/5. The other way around now, how many 7s fit into 36? You can count in 7s if you're not sure. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. It's 5 with 1 left over. 5 and 1/7. How many 4s fit into 19? Would be 4 and 3/4 left over. Okay, both rectangles have the same perimeter. Find the length of the blue rectangle. First, I needed to find the perimeter of this shape. If you did 7 times 4, you found the area. Remember, the perimeter is a measurement around the outside. I know opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. My favourite way of finding the perimeter, sorry about that. My favourite way of finding the perimeter of a rectangle is to add those two together. 7 add 4 is equal to 11, and then double it. The perimeter is 22 centimetres for this shape. That means I know that these two added together and then doubled also equal 22. First, I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to halve 22, which makes 11. And now I need to decide for myself, what do I add to 2 to make 11? 2 add 9 is equal to 11. Let's just double check that then. 9 add 2 is 11. Add 9 is 20. Add 2 is 22. So the length of this blue rectangle is 9 centimetres. Please pause the video now and have a go at once you have Please pause the video and write the date, Walt, and have a go at the do now questions. We'll go through them once you have had a go. Okay, so you're looking for 3 possible solutions. If you only found 1 solution, pause the video again and find 2 more solutions. I could have said A is equal to 1. If A is 1, 2A is 2, and B would be equal to 18. I could have said A was 2. 2A is 4, so B would be 16. I could have said A was 3, 2A is 6, B would be 14. I could have said A was 4, that would make B 12. I could have said A was 5, that would make B 10. Hopefully, most of you are noticing a pattern here. It's the same pattern as I go through, because as A increases, B also decreases. A could have been 6 and B 8. A could have been 4 and B... A could have been 7 and B 6. A could have been 8 and B 4. A could have been 9 and B could have been 2. And finally, A could have been 10 and B equals 0. Those were all of your possible answers. You needed 3 of those correct. Okay, moving on to today's learning. In today's learning, we're going to be using these 3 words. I want you to have a go at saying them after me. The first word is circumference, radius, and diameter. Brilliant. When you're learning these words, I want you to think carefully about the definition that you're going to be given in a moment and think about a way that you can help yourself remember them. If you want to write down the definition, for example, or you want to think of a hand signal to help you, please do that, because if you don't know the meaning of these 3 words in this lesson, you will find it tricky, especially the difference between radius and diameter. So think of a clever way to remember the difference between the 2. I can also teach you my way to remember the difference, but have a think about your own method. Okay. The first word is circumference. The boundary of a circle, that's the outer limit or the line around the outside of a circle, is always equidistant from the centre, by which I mean the same distance away from the centre. The boundary of a circle is called the circumference. So that's our first word, circumference. The outside of a circle is the circle's circumference. Okay, so think to yourself now, which of these circles has the greatest circumference? For which of these circles is the circumference the greater? Well done if you said it's the red one. The red one is the biggest circle, therefore its circumference is the largest. The next word we're going to look at is radius. Radius means a straight line from the circumference, the outside of the circle, to the point on the inside of the circle. It doesn't matter in which direction I'm drawing the radius. I could start from any point on the outside of the circle, but it would always be the same length to reach the centre. So the radius is any line from the circumference to the centre of the circle. It could be in any direction. Which of these coloured lines shows the radius then? Which line is straight from the circumference, the outside, to the centre? Let's have a look at them then. I can see that this yellow one doesn't go through the middle of the circle. This purple one is going all the way across. My radius does not go all the way across. So I'm left between the pink and the green. The center of the circle is here. That means the green line is the radius in this circle. So far we've learnt two of our words. Circumference is the outside of the circle, and radius is a line from the circumference to the center. The final word we're going to learn is diameter. Diameter is a straight line which cuts through the center of the circle, chopping the circle in half. The diameter will always go through the center of the circle, and it always chops the circle in half. But just like the radius, it can be going in any direction. So which of these lines shows the diameter? The green line does not go all the way through the circle. The orange line and the blue lines are not cutting the circle in half or going through the center point. It was the pink line which correctly shows the diameter. Okay, see if you can think of a clever way to remember the difference between the radius and the diameter. I'm going to tell you my way in a moment, so see if you can think of your own way before. Okay, so the clever way that I remember it is the word radius is shorter. The radius is the shorter one, just from the circumference to the center. The diameter is a longer word, so that's a longer line cutting through the center of the circle. Let's move on then. Another interesting fact that you need to know when you're learning about circles is the radius is always exactly half of the diameter. Whatever the diameter is, the radius will be half of that. So that tells me if my radius is 6 centimeters long, in order to find the diameter, I need to work out what double that is. 6 times 2 is 12 centimeters. Remembering always, radius is a shorter word, so it should be a smaller length. Diameter is a longer word, therefore I'm looking for the longer length. The radius is always half the diameter of a circle. We're going to, for this next section, I'm going to be using a ruler on the screen. If you don't have a ruler at home, it would be really helpful for you to go and get one now. Please go and see if you can find a ruler somewhere in your house. If you don't have a ruler, you can skip this part of the lesson when it comes to the independent work, but please watch how you would do it if you did have a ruler. When you're asked to label the radius, remember, radius is the short one, going halfway. You put your ruler on the circumference and the center point, and you draw a straight line going from that circumference to the center. I have now labelled the radius. In order to measure the radius, then, you put the ruler on the outside of the straight line and you measure all the way to the center point. The radius in this shape on this ruler is 8 centimeters. Okay, if I was measuring the radius on this one, I need to draw my line from the center point to from the circumference to the center point. I'm now going to measure, and I can see that 0 is on the outside of the circle and 3 is at the center. The radius of this shape is 3 centimeters. Now, remembering that the radius is always half the diameter, if the radius is 3 centimeters in this shape, what would the diameter equal? If the radius is 3, what will the diameter be? The diameter is twice as long, so here it would be 6 centimeters. If the radius is 8 centimeters, what's the diameter going to be here? Well done, it's twice as long, so it would be 16 centimeters for this shape. If you're labelling and measuring the diameter, in a similar way, you need to get your ruler going through the center point, and then you draw your line from the circumference all the way through to the circumference on the other side. When measuring it, you get your ruler on the outside of the circle and you measure all the way through to the other side. That's 10 centimeters. If the diameter is 10 centimeters, the radius is half of that. Half of 10 is 5 centimeters. Let's have a look at this one then. I need to have my ruler lined up on the outside of the circle. Sorry, of the circumference. I'm now going to draw a straight line from the circumference on one side straight through to the other, measuring that from 0 all the way to 14 centimeters. If the diameter is 14 centimeters, quickly work out the radius. Well done, the radius is half of that. The radius is 7 centimeters. Okay, we're not going to need the ruler anymore, and remember, If you have a ruler at home, you'll be able to use it for this piece of work when we get to the independent work later. Right, in this one, we don't need a ruler because we're told what the radius is. The radius of a circle is 20 centimetres. What is the diameter? I need to remember the radius is the shorter one. So if the radius is 20 centimetres, the diameter will be double that. The diameter is going to be 40 centimetres. Can you have a go at this one? The diameter of a circle is 20 centimetres. What's the radius? In this example, I'm going from the diameter, the longer measurement, to the shorter one. Well done. To get from the diameter to the radius, I need to halve it. Half of 20 centimetres is equal to 10 centimetres. The radius is 10 centimetres. If you're struggling to remember which way round you need to go, remember my two tips. Firstly, diameter is a long word and radius is a short word. That's the number one tip to help you. Secondly, I recommend drawing yourself a little symbol like this. To get from diameter, the long one, to the short one, I divide by 2. To get from radius to diameter, I times by 2. If you're worried you might get them the wrong way round, or you just want to be extra careful, draw this diagram somewhere neatly on your piece of paper where you're doing your work. That will help you to remember to get them the right way round. Now I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at filling out the diameters and radius on the table. For example, if the diameter is 12 centimetres, to get from the diameter to the radius, I must divide by 2, so the radius would be 6 centimetres. Have a go at doing the rest of those questions. Okay, so I'm going from the radius to the diameter, I times by 2 to get 16 centimetres. Here I'm timesing by 2 again, that will be 21.2 centimetres. Sorry, that's a 1 there. Here I need to divide by 2, that will be 2.4 centimetres, and here I'm timesing by 2, so that will be 7.2 centimetres. If you didn't get those right because you went the wrong way, I repeat, draw this diagram somewhere in your book to help you so you get them the right way round. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and have a go at the first group of questions. If you don't have a printer, don't worry, you can just measure these on your computer. Hold your ruler up to the computer. If you don't have a ruler or a printer, I think you'd probably better skip these questions and go straight on to the second set. For the second set of questions, you don't need a ruler, you just need to remember which way around the diameter and the radius go. Remember, if you're not sure, draw yourself a diagram. To get from the diameter to the radius, we divide by 2, radius to diameter, we times by 2. This is not the end of the video, so I want you to pause the video, have a go at these questions, and then continue watching the video to find both the answers and to look at the next group of questions. So I repeat, this is not the end of the video, we're only halfway there, but have a go at these questions. Please do not continue watching the video until you've finished answering all of those questions, because I'm about to show you the answers. If you haven't finished those questions, please pause the video and go back and do the questions now. I forgot to mention, this is band 1 and band 2. You don't have to do both of them. Okay, the answers to the questions, or to most of the questions, are there. I'm just going to talk you through how you would have done question 9. So quickly mark the rest of your work and pause the video to mark the rest of your work, and then we'll go through question 9. In question 9, we're told the diameter of 2 circles together is 20 centimetres. What is the radius of 1? First, I need to find the diameter of 1. Half of 20 is 10. The diameter of each circle is 10, so the radius, I'll half that again, is 5. The answer to question 9 was 5 centimetres. Right, well done if you were able to do those questions. We're now going to look at how you could do some reasoning questions ready for you to do your own independent reasoning. Let's have a look. Question 1. The circumference of a circle is 22 centimetres, so that's the outside measurement is 22 centimetres. The diameter is 12 centimetres. Should one cut the circle in half, what's the perimeter? Well, I know this line across the middle is the diameter, that's 12 centimetres. I'm left with this bit here. I can see that is half of the circumference. Half of 22 is 11 centimetres. So to find the perimeter, I'd need to add those together. Quickly do that in your head. Well done. The answer is 23 centimetres. Let's look at another example. The circumference of this circle is 20 centimetres and the radius is 6 centimetres. Siobhan cuts the circle in quarters. What's the perimeter of this quarter? I'm not going to be able to solve this by quartering anything because I need the perimeter. This measurement here, I need to think to myself, is that the radius or the diameter? It's the radius, and I know the radius is 6 centimetres. This length here is also 6 centimetres. Quickly have a think to yourself how you would work out this part of the curve of the circle, remembering the circle's been cut into quarters. Well done if you said I should do the circumference divided by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5 centimetres. Now to find the perimeter, I'll have to add those up. Quickly add up those three lengths together. 6 add 6 is 12, add 5 is 17 centimetres. Let's look at the next one. The radius of each circle is 4 centimetres. You need to quickly label the information you're given. The radius is 4 centimetres. What is the length of this rectangle? Well, I can see the radius isn't really going to help me much. Actually, the measurement I'm going to need is the diameter. If the radius is 4, the diameter will be 8 centimetres. If I know that the diameter of one circle is 8 centimetres, quickly think to yourself now how you would find the total length of the rectangle. Well done if you said you needed to do 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is equal to 24, so the length of this rectangle is 24 centimetres. Let's have a look at this one then. The area of the whole triangle is 24 centimetres squared. The height, rectangle, the height is 4 centimetres. What's the diameter of each circle? Before I can find the diameter of the circle, I'll need to know the length of the rectangle. I do not yet know what the length of this rectangle is, so I need to use the information I have. The area is 24 centimetres and the height is 4 centimetres. How can I use that information to find the width? Well done if you remembered that the width times the height is equal to the area. So to find the width, I need to do the area, 24, divided, well, actually, I'm looking for the width times the height, which is 4, is equal to the area, 24. What times 4 makes 24? The width then must be 6 centimetres. Okay, now I know the width of the rectangle is 6 centimetres. Use that information to find the diameter of each circle. Well done if you decided you need to do 6 split into 3 parts. 6 divided by 3 is 2 centimetres. On your worksheet, you've got some similar reasoning problems that I'd like you to have a go at. It's been split into band 1 and band 3. I would like everybody to have a go at some of the questions. If you would consider yourself to be a band 2 person, start on the band 1 questions and then have a go at band 3. Okay? Everybody needs to have a go at some of these reasoning problems, and in a moment we'll go through the answers. Please do not continue watching the video until you've done some of the developed learning reasoning problems. Everyone was expected to do some. Even if you find them tricky, it's important to have a go first before I tell you the answers. Okay, Tabitha makes a line of 8 2p coins. Each coin has a diameter of 9 millimetres. That means the whole coin is 9 millimetres. If there's 8 of them in a row, that's 8 times 9, which is equal to 72 millimetres. Some circles with a diameter of 14 centimetres are laid next to each other in a rectangle with no gaps between them. What's the length of the rectangle? That's 4 diameters, each at 14. 14 multiplied by 4. 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 1 is 4, add 1 is 5. 56 centimetres. The circumference, the outside of a circle, is 30 centimetres and the diameter across the middle is 12 centimetres. What's the perimeter? The diameter is 12, half of the circumference is 15. 12 add 15 would be totaled to 27 centimetres. Okay, let's look at the next half of questions if you did band 3. Tabitha is making a line of 12 2p coins. Each coin has a radius this time of 13 millimetres. What's the length of the coins? First, find the diameter. That would be 13 millimetres doubled. 13 times 2 is 26 millimetres. Now I know there's 12 of them, 26 multiplied by 12. 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 2 is 4, add 1 is 5, 0. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 2 is 2, add them together, 2, 11, 312 millimetres. That was tough, there was lots to do there. Tim has some 5p coins, which have a diameter of 9 millimetres. The total length of the row is 108. How many coins are there? How many 9 millimetres will fit into 108? 108 divided by 9 is equal to 12. 12 coins will fit. 4 circles with a radius of 3.5 centimetres laid next to each other. What's the length of the rectangle? If the radius is 3.5 centimetres, the diameter is 7 centimetres. 7 centimetres times by 4 is equal to 28 centimetres. Finally, what's the length of the rectangle? Looking at the diagram below, I can see the radius is 12. If the radius is 12, that means the diameter is 24. One circle has the diameter of 24. There are 4 circles, so I'm doing 24 times by 4. Double 24 is 48, double that is 96 centimetres. Now, what's the area? If I know the length is 96, the area will be 96 multiplied by 310. Going to start with 310 at the top. Okay, 6 times 0 is 0, 6 times 6 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. 0 here, 9 times 0 is 0, 9 times 1 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. Adding them up would be 0, 6, 17, 1 add 7 is 8, add 1 is 9, and 2 there. The area is 29,760 millimetres squared. Don't forget, when you're talking about area, the unit of measurement is squared. And finally, to find the diameter of the smaller circles, I should not have gotten rid of my previous answer. If the total length is 96 centimetres, I need to remember that for this question. The total length is 96 centimetres, so to find the diameter of one of these smaller ones, I'm splitting 96 between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 96 divided by 6. 6 into 9 is 1, regroup 3, 6 into 36 is 6. 16 millimetres would be the diameter. That second group of questions was really hard. Well done if you had a go. I'm very impressed. Thank you to everyone for working really hard in their maths. I've been so impressed so far. I'll see you all tomorrow, and thank you for uploading your work.